Where do we leave off then? Brings me with playful minstrel and his closest ally against a beast they seek to overcome. Only then shall the door open. Yeah, open the door. It is a star chamber. I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. Oh good, no fights, that's what I like to hear. 1 month after the collapse of the Liberl Ark. The banquet to celebrate the crisis' successful resolution was over, with Son and friends having largely left the capital to go elsewhere. One of them, however, Prince Ries Argent, sat rather comfortably in the ambassador's office from the Grancel Cathedral embassy, his work of a country not quite settled. I can't believe it, you. I mean, my deepest apologies for not noticing you were His Highness Princess Liberl sooner. I'm not surprised you never realised. I may be a prince, but my mother was a commoner. What point is there in bothering you to remember my face? It's not as though I often showed myself in the palace or attended high society gatherings. Knowing me certainly isn't going to help you in moving up in the ranks, my friend. Ha! There's no need to be so humble, your highness. Besides, I'm actually rather grateful to you, Ambassador. You gave me all kinds of useful advice during my stay here at the embassy, but I'm sure will be my benefit in the future. Well-meant words such as act like a man of the Empire for once in your life, and stop idling here and go home and try to do some damn work. Your Highness, I don't mean to, Your Highness, I think you've tormented him enough for one day. The Ambassador behaved the same way as any other man would in a position. If anything, I'd say he has a right to be angry at us for keeping the truth from him for so long. But Muller... I suppose you're right. I'll spare him any more teasing for now. Actually, I wasn't joking about being grateful to you, though. You really have done admirable work over the past month. I have? Acting as a pipeline in the Empire, checking the safety of Avonians residing in Liberl, helping the international liner service to resume, and those are only the tip of the iceberg. You've done so much more. You have my deepest thanks as a prince of the Empire. I am not worthy of such praise, your highness. You, however, deserve the utmost braving the danger you did for flying up to Liberl Ark. All of what happened seems to have caused quite a commotion in our homeland. So people seem to be rather relieved now they know danger has passed. It's all thanks to your courage that they are able to rest easy. Oh, there's no point in flattering me, Ambassador. I just did what I could, nothing more, nothing less. And I couldn't have done anything alone. All I was able to accomplish was thanks to the help of those around me. I'm fairly removed from the stereotypical Erebonians of stern, strong, and self-sufficient, if I do say so myself. Ha! As rude as it might be for a degree, perhaps you are correct. And yet I believe your willingness to be flexible most definitely helped rather than hindered you here. I believe people like you are exactly what the Empire is going to need in the future. Regardless how I feel about His Excellency, the Chancellor's approach. Ambassador. Well, this is a surprise. I was under the impression you supported the Chancellor. But again, you are a noble. Does that lead you to oppose his reformist policies, perhaps? I may be more a noble on paper, but I'm only a baron. All in all, I generally fall in favour of his reformist policies. Be what as it may, this may just be a result of being in Liberl for so long, being influenced by the ways of its people. I do sometimes find myself becoming frightened by his hardline approach. I can't help but wonder exactly what his direction is trying to take our nation. Interesting. Your Highness? Oh, I was just thinking how I'm quite glad to have taken the chance to engage in such a fruitful talk with you before departing the country. I pray you'll continue doing all you can to ensure the peace of Liberl and the surrounding nations while I'm gone. Preferably in cooperation with Ambassador Cochrane. Yes, let's not forget her, I suppose. Still, it's true that since the non-aggression pact was signed, there's been some progress with regards to crossbelt problem. And given it was Liberl who opposed said pact, that makes my role in future negotiations very important indeed. I presume that is what you're trying to say? You're sharp on a good man, Excellency. Now I can return to the capital with my mind at ease. Leave everything here to me, Your Highness. I'll be looking forward to hearing what you have achieved back in our homeland. Cool. Interesting. This truly is a country like no other. I never would have thought the day would have come when I would hear things like that from a noble of the Empire. Indeed, he is apparently somewhat less of an obstinate man than I thought he was. Perhaps this nation's very air has a power to genuinely change people. It seems to have an effect on you too. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more smiles from you these days. I'm loath to admit it, that may well be true. I still find myself wishing that you had learned from Liberlian's dignity and sense of restraint, however. Two qualities you don't particularly possess in any measure. In fact, you have far too much of our opposites. You say that, but these qualities are the only weapon I have. I don't have much that would allow me to compete against the Chancellor. I need to use what little happens to be tucked into my corner as best I can. Have there been any changes to our plans? None. We should be able to proceed as arranged. 3 days ago, the Chancellor left the capital on a tour east on Arabonia. Tomorrow, you'll be returning there aboard the Arce, while it's still out of the east. All those who need to be made aware of our return has been given proper notice. Your arrival in Arabonia will make a real impact. That I am certain. What potential obstructions of our plan are there at present? Knowing, Major, there have been some movement to Intelligence Division's 4th subdivision, but not much. There's a chance that everyone is being cautious because the RSA is involved. But I put greater odds on the idea that everyone is just treating this as a pompous performance by you and not taking it seriously. Well, but be right too, it is. I've no choice but to start here, even if it means I have to use Liberl. If I'm going to put on a show, why don't I put on the finest one the skies have ever seen? I suppose I can't argue to that. I'm sorry to trouble you this late hour, Your Highness. A message arrived from Heimdallr. What shall I have me do? Really? Alright, come in. Well, it is Lecter. I was wondering where you'd been. I haven't seen you all day. I've been exceptionally busy with work since this morning, I'm afraid. I'd hoped to be able to come and see you earlier, but since you'll be leaving tomorrow. I'm terribly sorry for not being able to. Oh, never mind that. Is that work of yours done now? We three could always use some sensual quality time together. So what was the message? We acknowledge receipt of His Highness's message. However, he didn't anticipate you may be able to arrive away from Grancel in less than half a day. As such, I caught you in a minor panic, trying to ensure everything's ready for a ceremony. That doesn't come as a surprise. There's nothing like the I say when it comes to speed. How cool you are both for so deftly ignoring my proposal. Although it sounds like the stage will be set in time. Now I need to decide on an outfit that will leave everyone's jaws on the floor to speak to my arrival. Perhaps a glistening coat of white loincloth will do a trick. That'd make a grand impact, alright. Almost wish I'd go along to see it myself. Oh, please don't encourage him. You show remarkable promise for someone so young. What do you say to coming back and me RC with me? I'd welcome your company. Your work here in Liberl is just about done, isn't it? Your offer's certainly tempting, but I'm afraid I have another job to take care of soon. The thought is appreciated, though. Really? Well, that is a shame. Good luck with that next job of yours. Thank you, and if you excuse me. So, that is Second Secretary Lecter Oendo. Is it safe to assume it's one of the Chancellors? Most definitely, yes. He came through Hacking Gate on foot and took up his new position in the embassy a month ago. Right around the same time we headed to the Liberl Ark aboard the RC at that. There's no way that couldn't possibly be coincidence. No, it couldn't. Most likely possibility seems he's part of the Intelligence Division. I'm sure you're not doing anything regarding him with his time was a good idea. Oh, absolutely. We need some way to find out what the Chancellor was up to after all. We'll probably get some kind of reaction from the Chancellor through his reports at some point. Probably about 2 weeks when the Chancellor's tour's finished. You'd planned that far ahead all along, had you? Well, in that case, I'll be sure we're ready. Oh. Something the matter? Not really, it's just the moon has come out. What a beautiful moon it is. What a beautiful JPEG moon. It's strange to think we'll soon be the last time we see the moon from here. Truth be told, I'm going to miss it. Well, well, it looks like putting a smile on your face a little more often is the only thing Liberl's done for you. So open your eyes up to life's natural beauty as well. But in all seriousness, we'll just have to do all we can to be able to come back and see it once again one day. What a both still alive. Indeed. The next morning, Your Majesty, Your Highness, I humbly thank you both for your generous hospitality during my stay in your fine kingdom. You were even gracious to humour my ways and request escorting me back to Heimdalla aboard the SA. This debt I owe to you will be repaid many times over in the future, rest assured of that. Oh, you needn't think of this as anything we went out of our way for. Escorting an honoured state guest back home is a matter of course, particularly a guest with whom we owe a great debt of gratitude. If you ever have the opportunity, please do come again back to Liberl. I imagine Estelle and Joshua will be back by then too, to be able to give you a nice warm welcome. I'm already excited for my next visit. Have you left the country yet, by the way? They're busy getting ready to leave over and roll into a moment, I believe. I'm planning to see them off when the time comes. I see. Incidentally, when the ruins of Heimdalla is currently sealed off, I'll do what I can on my end to ensure they are allowed inside. Can I trouble you to pass that along to them? Certainly. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Oh, nothing of it. It's the least I could do after all they've done for me. I owe a great deal too, Cassius. If not for your assistance, stopping that armoured division from crossing into Liberl wouldn't have been as simple as it was. I could say the same to you. Still, I'm sure you're aware the outcome would have been well within the realm of possibility for a Chancellor. I doubt he was even surprised by the incident. Really? Most likely not. And Boney had nothing at all to gain from using that situation to occupy Liberl. Certainly not to the extent that it would be worth getting out of the way to develop an interest in steam tanks. The only reason I can see from doing what it did was a show of power to surrounding nations, a statement that even without overpower, a rebellious army could still act. I indeed suspect that was his true aim all along. Goodness. So you did notice. The orbital shutdown phenomenon was a complete unknown for the rest of the continent. Perhaps it might never occur again, but there's always a chance it might, whether it's here or somewhere else entirely. However, the Empire only built a relatively small number of those tanks too. Certainly not enough to launch a full-scale invasion. By the sounds of it, they were just put together in Rhineford factories, using parts intended for standard urban tanks. But as it stands, we know how to put together the tanks like that only exists in the Empire. And in these unpredictable times, no other nation has the time or resources to try and develop extremely inefficient steam-powered weaponry. In a sense, because of what happened, the Imperial Army's effect as a deterrent is even greater than ever. Using war as a diplomatic tool, and very effectively at that. None of this had even occurred to me. We have a long way to go before I'm fit to rule all of this country. Oh, don't beat yourself up too much about it. He's no ordinary foe, even to the most hardened of veterans. The Chancellor has always seemed to be thinking several steps ahead of the rest of the world. It's impressive no matter what we think of his actual ideas. I'm actually quite reckless for to be trying to challenge him if I do say so myself. Oh, don't be silly, Your Highness. How can you say that with a smile on your face is utterly beyond me? You should focus on building yourself a strong foothold to begin with. I do hope you'll be careful, no matter what may occur, so be sure not to lose sight of exactly where you stand. Of course, Your Majesty. If I were to go and bring shame upon myself now, I'd be wasting all the effort involved in escorting back home. Be sure to take whatever you've said to heart. Excuse me, Your Majesty. Hilda? Miss Guard just popped up out of nowhere. Whatever is the matter? It's not often I see you so flustered. My apologies, Your Majesty. It's just a guess if you has arrived at the castle. Ordinarily, I wouldn't have understood why you were meeting others. This is so irregular, I thought you should know at once. Irregular? How so? It sounds like it's about time I take my leave then. Actually, the visitor said he would like to greet you as well, not just Her Majesty. What? Hilda, just who is this visitor? Well, he introduced himself as Chancellor Gilead Osborne of the Everbonian Empire. Oh. Ah, it's an honor to be granted a personal audience. I'm Gilead Osborne, representative of the Imperial Government. My apologies for your abrupt intrusion. Oh, so you are Chancellor Osborne. It's a pleasure to see you again, well, Your Highness. It's been a year since we last met, has it not? I hope these passing months have seen you well. Yes, a year sounds about right. Still, well, I hope you forgive me for asking. Just what did prompt someone of your stature to appear in my castle without warning? I'd very much like to hear your side of the story. My apologies, Your Highness. You see, these past few days have been touring Eastern Erebonia on routine inspections. It's been going very smoothly, more so than I'd initially anticipated. I had enough free time in my schedule to pay a cordial visit. Oh, is that so? Naturally, I preferred to come here while the crisis was still unfolding by yourself. Unfortunately, the confusion with Southern Erebonia was simply too pressing a matter. I had no choice but to deal with that first. This was the first chance to present itself to come here and meet directly with Her Majesty, so I acted with almost expectancy. I do hope you'll forgive me for my lack of proper decorum in failing to give advance notice for my arrival. That does make sense, at least. Regardless, please don't concern yourself with me, no matter... No doubt you wish to offer your greetings to Your Majesty. My thanks, Your Highness. Well then, allow me to extend my heartfelt greetings to both you, Queen Alicia, and Princess Claudia. It's abundantly clear that the crisis that unfolded here has been quite the ordeal for yourselves and for your nation's people. You have my deepest sympathies for the hardship you endured, as well as my commendation for bringing the situation under control. I thank you for your kind words, Your Excellency. If anything, should I be apologising to you for the fact that some side of your nation was caught up in what should have been our problem. We should be the ones going to you rather than having you trouble yourself to come all the way to Liberl. I beg you accept our apologies together with my deepest thanks for coming here today. And I would never ask your apologies. I've heard what happened as a worker of a shadow organisation, stirring up trouble within your borders. And while I mean well by sending a military force to aid you, I wouldn't have done something so careless had I known the truth of the matter. My actions were rash, foolish even, and I was rightfully reprimanded by His Imperial Majesty for them. Oh my. Fortunately, His Highness the Prince was able to act with all due haste to put right my misstep, before even greater harm was done. I owe you a great debt of gratitude for that, Your Highness, and congratulations besides for your part in bringing me into a crisis. Oh, I did nothing of the out of the ordinary. I'd love to help with Her Majesty, Her Highness, and Brigadier General Bright here too. Bright, you say? It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Excellency. I am Cassius Bright, a Brigadier General in the Royal Liberl Army. Oh, the pleasure's mine, I assure you. Your name is rather well known even in the Empire. Not as much as yours is known here in Liberl, I would imagine. It's an honour to be able to speak with you in person. I certainly am surprised to be able to, though. Coming here on a whim, you can't have been easy for a man as busy as yourself. Sounds as though I may have underestimated just how capable you truly are. Not at all. I was greatly impressed to see the Royal Army's effectiveness in dealing with tumult here. Your forces have proven yet flexible, capable of dealing with emergencies aptly and decisively. Might go as far to say it embodies an idea of the Imperial Army which sworn ranks can never hope to realise. You flatter us, Your Excellency. For your part, I hear you were responsible for the establishment of the Imperial Army's famed intelligence division. Our army is in desperate need of a new one of its own, so I find myself quite envious. It almost sounds though two of us each wonder what the other has. So it does. May I ask Your Excellency what you'll be doing now? For my part, I'm intending to leave Liberl today, so I'm afraid I won't be around much longer. Yes, I've been told. We intend to make your grand arrival in Heimdall around aboard the famous Arcee. I'm impressed you're already aware. I almost wish I could turn to Erebonia and board alongside you, but alas, I'm afraid I have other business demanding my attention after I'm finished here. We're leaving Liberl separately this afternoon. Oh, it is a shame. I'd very much like to invite you to this evening's banquet. Please, you need not need to go to such troubles on my account. But as I'll put you out enough just showing up unannounced as I did, to say nothing of dining with such esteemed company. Still, I do have some time before the airship. I'll be leaving due to part. That being the case, might I ask for a little of your time, Your Highness? There are a few things I'd like to discuss with you personally. Very well. I have some matters I would actually like to discuss personally with you as well. Oh, I'd have thought you were just coincidence. How much have a room arranged for you two, then? Hilda, if you would. Certainly, Your Majesty.
Cry for me, 君の